Hi there, Stitchers. How's it going? Happy Monday. I am here with the next installment of my channel. Yeah, we'll just go with that. I have quite a bit to talk about and not a whole lot of time to do so because two reasons. I want to be stitching and I'm starting to get this headache again. So yeah, that's exciting. So I don't want to spend too much time today recording because of all of that. I might have to go take a nap because I'm supposed to go to work today. And so I need to get rid of this headache as soon as possible. But I do nonetheless have a lot to talk about. First thing, I want to talk about the giveaway. Yesterday, August 2nd, 2015 was my 2-year FlossTube anniversary. It's a technical term. And I had mentioned that I was going to start up a giveaway to celebrate that FlossTube anniversary as well as sort of say thank you for the 1,100 subscribers that I have now. It's way cool. But that is not going to happen just yet. I decided to make this giveaway just a little bit bigger to say thank you to just a couple more people. I was going to do one lot, and instead I'm going to do 3. And in order to do that, I have to sort of fill up the gift basket, so to speak. So I have a couple of things on order, and they should be here shortly. And so as soon as they do, I will get that giveaway going. The good news is, instead of a 1 in 1,000 chance, you have a 1 in 300. If, you know, by some miracle, every single one of my subscribers enters. So it's increasing the odds, and it's giving me a chance to sort of share the love with just a couple more people. So be on the lookout for that, which I'm sure you will. So let's get to the FlossTuber shoutout. This week's going to be a little bit different, and that is because I am shouting out a FlossTuber who is no longer with us. And by that I mean she passed away. Deborah Bryant was the first social media cross-stitcher that I ever ran into. She was primarily a blogger, and she was phenomenal. I mean, she did such astounding work. She passed away about a year ago. She was also on FlossTube. She showed some of her WIPs and some of her finishes on YouTube, and so I'm going to link both her blog so you can see her wonderful works as well as her channel. The reason that Deborah's been in my mind recently is we've got Stitch Mania, which did the first 15 days of May new starts. Some people even took it a step further and did a new start for every day, every single day in May. Cross Stitch and Discuss has their Crazy 7 going on now, where it's a new start every day for the first 7 days of August. But to be totally honest, the original of these ideas, I think, and don't quote me on this, but it was the Crazy January Challenge that was hosted on the blogs. And Deborah, without fail, participated, I think, for 3 years, if not more. And she had a new start for every day in January. And then I think she did the ultimate Crazy January Challenge, which was 2 every day, I think. Again, don't quote me on that. But she did the crazy challenges. She also did, oh gosh. See, now I'm so far removed from the cross-stitch blogosphere that I can't remember the names of the challenges, but there was another one that she participated in where it was working on UFOs. She did some astounding work, and her passing was really kind of sudden. It affected me a lot more than I might have anticipated because, like, she and I never spoke. We never really talked about our cross-stitch together. I mean, maybe I commented on her blog a couple times. She might have commented on mine every now and again. But it wasn't anything. It wasn't like she was a close friend. But she was the first one that I came upon that showed her cross stitch on the internet, and she really influenced me. She influenced me in starting up my own blog because, you know, I was a book blogger, excuse me, and she sort of got the pedals moving in my head to start up a cross stitch blog, and I did that for a short time before I discovered FlossTube. And so I owe a lot of my internet cross stitch presence to Deborah because she was awesome. And another reason that I'm mentioning her is that the whole reason that I started this FlossTuber Shoutout was to infuse some positivity. And Deborah is a prime example reminder that life is short. Why spend it negatively? I'm going to go back to what Jen said, the let's be kind, because you never know when you're going to lose somebody. And if, heaven forbid, somebody on FlossTube passed or could no longer record, you know, we're not involved in their lives. Not really. So spend every day saying something positive, because you will forever be remembered by that person if you say something good. So Deborah is kind of just a good reminder of that, because she's not with us anymore. We don't get to say anything positive to her anymore. Now, I will every day that I'm cross-stitching and that I'm recording and posting on Instagram, I think of Deborah. So anyway, without getting too sappy, I'm going to move on to my WIPs in review, especially since we're 7 minutes in and I said I didn't have a whole lot of time. What are you going to do? I mean, you know, this is just me. That's how I do. So first things first, we're going to talk about the projects that I worked on for the last week, so since last Monday. And this is for the Summer's Last Hurrah Challenge, hosted by Cross Stitch It's Fun. And so I'm just going to go through quickly and show you sort of what I accomplished. I don't have any last time you saw this pictures to include, because I just stitched. I didn't really do any of that. So this is where I'm at on Persephone. This is Mirabilia's Persephone, and this is being stitched on Tempest Hand-Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. It's a 32 count Belfast. And so this is primarily where I focused. I got down through here. I did part of the bench here, just this side of the bench that she's sitting on. And then I worked on this little bit of the ruffle in her skirt. And I worked on these confetti heavy flowers. That was fantastic. Just as a side note, quick shout out to Carolyn Mazzio for showing us all the pinhead stitch. Kind of saved my life on this, because you can see like the little orange stitch right there in the middle of the gold stitches, just floating pretty much out there in the middle of nowhere. There's one there, and then there's one on this strand here, and then there's another one down here. Because of Carolyn's tutorial, I don't have an orange thread being carried along the back. I do have some carrying going on up here because I didn't know about the pinhead stitch at that point when I did that. But really, the pinhead stitch really saved me there. So it looks a lot neater in the back. It's not as bulky. So love that. Thank you, Carolyn, for showing us all that. So that's my Persephone. I loved working on her. It was really, really hard for me to put her away. Really, really difficult. But I did it because that's what I'm supposed to do for this. Okay, I have piles of stuff everywhere, so I gotta figure out where to put these things. Okay, done. All right, so then, you know, I had spoken when I finished Mini Pearl that I was so looking forward to doing 2/2 and working on linen and etc., etc. So next, I pulled out my Under the Moonlight, and I did these out of order. I did my Passion Ricamos backwards. I guess I got confused on my schedule. So I pulled out Under the Moonlight, and This is hilarious. So I worked on her hair here and then skin. 1/1. So silly. I didn't get to work on 2/2. So I can't see what you see. Oh, you can see that. So basically what I had done before was up to this line and then up through this line. So we did a big chunk of her hair, and then this is her arm that kind of comes down and it's like underneath her chin. So it's like she's holding her face up, kind of looking up in the moonlight. And then I did her lips there and the pinkest color in her cheek. So she's coming together. I found myself not hating this because I was able to work on it for a day and then put it down. And I don't hate this project, but it's so big. It's just so, it's just so big, and there's just so much left to do. But nonetheless, it's coming together. I will say that having my 30-inch Millennium bars made the skin over one a lot easier because the tension is just so perfect. It really pulls the linen apart, and not in a bad way, but it opens it up so that I can get more even tension, whereas I had it on the Q-snaps, and that had pretty even tension, but it wasn't pulled as much as I like. The tension wasn't as strong as I like. So that's pretty cool. It did make doing that skin there a whole heck of a lot easier. And so I accomplished that. And I really do hope to finish her this year. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen, but that's that. Let's see. 2 other things that I wanted to talk about with this. I'm holding you all accountable for this. If I ever say I'm going to stitch a mermaid, and I'm going to stitch that mermaid skin 1/1, somebody send me an internet slap. I'm serious, because skin 1/1 is great. If they have a lot of skin, it takes forever. I mean, I did this arm, and I accomplished quite a bit, in one day, but I had all day. And I still have her chest, her back, the rest of her stomach, the rest of her face. I have so much skin left. And that's typical with mermaids. Like, they're pretty much they're only half dressed, really. They just have the tail fin, and if they're, if you're lucky, they're wearing coconuts or something. So I will never do a mermaid skin 1/1 ever again. It's just too much work. So, the other thing that I kind of wanted to ask your opinions about. So, you see the top gold there. On top of that, there's supposed to be a long stretch of pearlescent white beads. And it's supposed to go all the way around the gold border. It's something like 3,000 white beads. And I don't know if that's really necessary. On top of there being like the 2 stripes around the gold, they're supposed to like interlace that gold edging there. I'm not really about all of that. I love beading, don't get me wrong, but long stretches of it's so boring. And so what I'm thinking of doing, and I'm almost positive that this is what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do the beads that kind of go in between those gold. They almost look like feathers a little bit. And then I'm going to do the beads that are in these corner motifs. But the long stretches I'm going to replace with stitching. I'm going to stitch with something. So I have a couple of options. I thought about doing just a plain white. I thought about doing white blended with metallic so I still get the shine. I thought about doing a pearl, like a pearl cotton. And the reason for that is that, the beads are going to add some dimension if I was to do the beads. So I thought that if I did a pearl cotton, then that would add some dimension. I also considered doing a pearl blended with a strand of metallic, but that's not going to work. It's just too big. It's too bulky. It's too much to try to stuff through the fabric here. So what do you guys think? Should I do just a cotton? So 2 strands of DMC B5200 Snow White. Do I do a strand of white with a strand of metallic? Or do I do the pearl? Take take a minute, think about it, you know, share your thoughts, and we'll see what happens. So that's my Under the Moonlight Passion Ricamo. This is also Hand-Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. This is Lady of the Lake, which I think I mispronounced last time, but nonetheless. So there's that one. Let's see if I can fold her up real quick. All attempts for a quick video are going quickly out the window. Okay. Next, okay, continuing on the thread of mini purl, I wanted 2/2 on linen. Next, I pulled out Be Thankful, and this was a kit from Imaginating, and the designer is Diane Arthurs, and so this is where I'm at with that. And this is on 14 count Fiddler's Light Aida. So this is 2/1 on Aida, not linen, not over 2. I apparently scheduled this whole Summer's Last Hurrah thing wrong for what I was after. But anyway, so basically when I set out to do this, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to stitch on this for very long. I knew that my hands were going to get tired. As I've said before, I'm not a huge Aida fan anymore. So I just wanted to set a goal. And my goal was to finish the basket. And I did. I didn't finish the back stitching on it. I thought about doing the back stitching. And I also didn't finish the rest of the pumpkins in the basket. But nonetheless, the weaving is done on the basket itself. So that's cool. I have to stitch this sideways because it's very long and not very deep. You know, it's pretty short. So I stitch it sideways, which is fine. It just looks funny now because my stitches are going in a really weird direction. Also, one thing about this, you can see next to the berries in the basket there, you see the fractional stitches that I've done? Not fractional stitches. Imaginating did something really, really ingenious with their pattern, and they wrote the stitches like quarter stitches. In essence, like you have a small one on each corner rather than one big one. And the reason they did that is because there's back stitch that goes over those stitches, and they wanted to make sure that users could still see the symbol. Not for quarter stitches, just full stitch, just so you could see what symbol was, or what thread was supposed to go there underneath that back stitch. That's genius. I don't know of any other pattern designer that does that. You know, if you're lucky enough, you get a cross stitch chart and then a back stitch chart so that you know the symbols. But this one managed to find a way to combine the two. But because I'm such, you know, the quarter stitch freak that I am, I thought, oh, those are quarter stitches. Okay. And then I went back and read the directions. Yeah. C'est la vie. Okay, so continuing on with the thread of, I feel like I'm a broken record here. Mini purl. Wanted to stitch 2/2 on linen. Next was my other Passion Ricamo stitch along, and this was the 20-year celebration piece. This is also on a Belfast, and it is Ariel, hand-dyed by Picture This Plus. By the way, have you guys read the newsletter from Picture This Plus? Apparently somebody had ordered 4 pages, like an order of 4 pages worth of fabric for their Christmas and July sale. I am so jealous. I'm so jealous. Anyway, so I worked on this second motif here, and the progress that I made was very minimal. And so basically what I did is I finished out the back of her neck, and I finished out her chin, and kind of came down the front. And that's really all that I did. That's really all that I made time for. I believe this was on, yeah, this was on Thursday. And I had to go to work really early on Thursday, and I didn't get a whole lot of time, and plus I was so done with 1/1 skin. I think I had burned myself out by accomplishing so much on my Under the Moonlight that by the time I got to this, I was like, I just don't feel like it. But I know that I have to get that skin done before I can sort of reward myself with the rest of her hair. Also, this is another mermaid. But, I mean, obviously it's not her full body. So, that's my Under the Moonlight, or my 20-year celebration piece. So that's that. Okay, stitches on the inside and over there. All right. Okay. Next, I was supposed to make a new start, and I was supposed to work on elephants from Jane Netley Mayhew. However, I decided to order a piece of fabric, and that hadn't arrived yet. It hadn't arrived in time. So I swapped it for a different new start. And the one that I swapped it for was Lizzie Kate's Jingles. This was I won the fabric and the charts. There's 12 flip it chart or 12 mini charts that Lizzie Kate then organized into a full size, I guess, sampler sort of. So I'm stitching all 12 together like that design calls for. And this is on 32 count amber from Witchell. Very stiff linen. Not much give to it, but that's all right. And I stitched like a mad woman. So I finished 90% of the very first one. Now, obviously, there are some things missing here. Let's see, the roof on the house is missing. My snowman friend here, Olaf, is missing his hat and buttons. And he doesn't have a carrot nose, but that's okay. Louis, the cardinal over here, doesn't have a beak or the fence that he's sitting on. And the reason that I named him Louis is that red color there is Weeks Dye Works Louisiana hot sauce. So Louis, Louisiana, you get it? Louis and Olaf. I'm going with it. So, but I mean, those are the colors that I don't have. I have them on order now. So I guess spoiler alert for next week's haul. Yeah, a couple of weeks Dye Works on the way. Lots and lots of fun to work on this. This is stitched in 100% Weeks Dye Works. But if I had known what I know now, I might have done the DMC conversion for a couple of them. The white there is Grits. And you can see that there's maybe some tiny, hardly recognizable variation in that. The blue is Capri, or Capri, but I think it's Capri. And there is almost no variation in that whatsoever. Let's see, what else? The dark green here for Deck the Halls, that is Juniper, and it's so dark you can't even see the variation in that either. So, as I said, if I had known what I know now, I might have switched for the DMCs, but I'm just going to stitch the whole thing in the Weeks Dye Works, and that will be fine. I was really impressed that I got that whole one done in one day. That was pretty cool. So effectively, it should take me 12 or 13 days to stitch the whole thing if I focused. But I'm not, because I have like 18 other WIPs. So, Saturday. Gosh, Saturday was interesting. So Saturday was Charity's birthday. And I had, if you'll remember, I had asked her to pick my new start for the day. She picked the Joan Elliott Cross Stitch Sentiments and Sayings. This one here. My aim is to keep the bathroom clean. Your aim will help. And so I started that on Saturday. This is also my first project for Stitch Mania's August ABCs. And so I barely worked on this on Saturday. I got a very tiny little bit done, and then I had to go to work. And then I got home and I did a very tiny little bit, and then Danny and I decided to go hang out with some friends for the rest of the night. So I got almost none done on Saturday. So the progress, I've made some pretty good progress, but it's because I've worked on it for at least an hour between Sunday and today. And that's pretty much the majority of the progress. Now I'm leaving this on my scroll frame because I'm working on it every day. And so I'll open it up here so you can see what I've done. So I have pretty much, I've done her arm there, and then, gosh, I'm not doing this very well. Let me move my water out of the way. Okay, that should improve things a little bit. So I've done some of her dress and her apron, and this is going to make a whole lot more sense once I get the back stitch in. The yellow that's there on her apron, that's a towel that's kind of hanging out of her pocket. There's that white section next to her sleeve, that's a roll of toilet paper. The green and yellow next to the toilet paper, those are books that are stacked up on the toilet. You know, it's kind of interesting. But nonetheless, I'm really, really liking this. I gotta tell you, I'm not in love with the fabric. The fabric is a random piece of 32 count linen that I had hanging out in my stash that I'm pretty sure is MCG Textiles linen. I'm not a huge fan, I'll be honest. It's really, really pliant, and I don't know, it feels like an even weave almost. Like, obviously there's the slubs in it, so it is a linen, but it's, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It wiggles my stitches around funny like an even weave does. Like, it makes my stitches lay differently, even when I railroad them, like they just lay funny, like they would on an even weave. So it's not a stiff linen. It's a good soft linen if you want to try a linen out, if you like the softer linens, but nonetheless. So that's that. And I will have more progress on that because this is my August ABCs project, as I said. Just gonna roll this back up and set it over here where it's safe. So yeah, that is my August ABCs WIP for pretty much the rest of this week. There's a little bit more. There's another project that I'll start later this week, but nonetheless, that one is that. Really enjoying it, and I really am liking this 1 hour. Set the timer, and then that hour is done and I switch to a new project. I love that. I did not expect to really enjoy that because just switching projects, I like to stay organized with my cross stitch, and so, you know, I've got to take things off and stuff them back in their memory keepers and pull out the new project, get everything set up again, and start stitching. But it's working out really great. Really, really liking that. So Katie, you're a genius. Okay, Sunday was the Flower Power Stitch Along for Cross Stitch It's Fun. And so I had organized this schedule to work on my Flower of the Month Sal from Ellen Moore-Stroh. And this is what I got to on Sunday, so yesterday. Basically, when we spoke last about this project, I had just this top brown border and a very little bit of the bud there done. So I got started on the big flower. I finished up that bud as well as the stem and leaves coming from it. I am not in love with the color palette, I'll be honest. There are 4 greens, and I don't feel like there's enough variation among the grains to really get any definition. It just looks like I'm stitching 2 colors that are almost exactly the same right next to each other. So it gets a little bit confusing. I'm definitely reliant on my highlighter working on this one, that's for sure. But, you know, it's coming out. It's coming along. This is a 32 count linen This is from Zweigart, I believe. Zweigart, yes. And it's cream. And so I'm going to stitch them all together, 3 per row, all the way down, all 12. But for now, I've started there. So, like I said, really, I'm enjoying it. Not a huge fan of the color palette, but I'm sure that it's going to look fine once it's all together, once it's all in there. The good news is the greens aren't necessarily the main focal point, so it's all right if they're a little bit muted. And so that's all that I've worked on for the last week. I know it's a lot. We're 30 minutes in. It's bananas. So before I talk about my next projects, I want to talk about my haul. As I mentioned, I had to order a piece of fabric for my elephants. And so I scoured 123 Stitch looking, and I was going to order another piece of Ariel, which is what the pale blue and white from Picture This Plus. I was going to order that, but I changed my mind because I already have a project on that. I wanted to try something different. So I found this on 123 Stitch's clearance section. How pretty. It is just a pretty blue and white. Oh, it's washed up. Here, bring it in close. Yeah, pretty blues and whites. And this is, I love the 123 Stitch tags. Aren't those great? So this is 32 count aqua. And it's from Fabric Flare, which they have actually printed on the edge of their fabric. So I guess, oh, interesting. So that's the back, and that's the front. Was I showing you the back of the fabric this whole time? Sorry, y'all. Here it is. It's pretty blues and whites. And I think that'll be really pretty with my elephants from Jane Netley Mayhew. So very excited for that. But I couldn't order just one piece of fabric. Like, it's not worth the shipping. So while I was perusing the 123 Stitch clearance fabric, I found this. This is a really pretty small piece of neutrals, and it is 28 count Lugana, and this is Murky, which is dyed by Picture This Plus. This could be a really cool Halloween piece, don't you think? I think that'd be a lot of fun. I can see why it was listed on their clearance. They have some funny little dye spots here on this side, but nothing major. So I will have to find something to go on that. And this is, like I said, it's a small piece. It is 12 by 17. So we'll see. Have to find something cool for that. And then, because I like to fill the box, I ordered, finally, the thread that I need for my Victoria Sampler Pumpkin Patch Farm. I've had this long saga about this thread color Harvest Grape, and so I ordered Gloriana Silk, and this is Autumn Gold. And so it's just got browns and golds in it, aptly named Autumn Gold. And I think that this is going to work really good for the effect. It's going to have like the crunchy leaves look. On top of that, Harvest Grape is a Gloriana Silk, so I know that this is going to be like the same texture, I guess, effect as the as it was charted for. So that is Harvest Grape, and you will see this in action not this week, but next week. And then, because I like to order a chart when I order the thread and fabric, I looked on their clearance charts and I found this. And this is Passion Rigamos Spring Little Fae. And this is, I'm not going to show you the chart, but it's big. Like, it's fantastic. The symbols are really, really big on this. So, excited to check that out. I don't think I'm going to stitch the wording there, because she's pretty just by herself, but I love the pinks and greens. So, Spring Faith. Sorry guys, nose itches. And I need a sip of water. Okay. The next one was a complete surprise. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly for simplicity's sake. But I got this random box. And this is from Stitchy Box. Now I canceled my Stitchy Box subscription because just personal reasons, it just wasn't something that I really wanted to hold on to. I've decided that I would rather do a Fabric of the Month club than the Stitchy Box subscription. But apparently I had already paid for this month's subscription when I canceled. So this was a total surprise. I didn't realize I was going to get this, but I did. So I'm going to open it up and I'm just going to show you quickly what came. So we have Gloriana hand-dyed silks, and this is a one-of-a-kind. And it's like pale browns. Not pale, but definitely browns, little golden tones to it. Oh, this is the Christmas box. So it came with the card and like their color theory here. So that's that. Let's see, we have DMC number 677. Nice pale yellow gold. We have a random strip of linen, no doubt a finishing something. We have 2 weeks dye works, love them. One of them is galvanized, nice silvery gray, very pretty, and artichoke, nice variegated greens, pale greens, love that. We have the Dragonfly Lotus. This is a limited edition sparkle collection. Christmas Dance is the colored name. And this is a 10-yard skein of BFL wool and a little bit of sparkle. And BFL wool is blue-faced Leicester, which is a breed of sheep, for those who are unaware. And it's definitely sheepy feeling, like it's interesting. But there are some subtle green and reds throughout that, along with the very natural wool color. As far as sparkle is concerned, I don't know, I'm having a hard time seeing it. So, anyway, Dragonfly Lotus. Let's see, we have, this is Rainbow Blending Thread from Glisten Gloss. This is number 406. Just a nice gold, very shiny. That's the sparkle I was looking for. This is Krennic Silk Serica. This is number 1117 and it's 11 yards of a red thread. And let me see if I can pull this out so that you guys can see how thick this is. So, pretty thick thread. Okay, wind that back up. And then the last thread in the box, this is the Pure Palette Baroque Silk, which is something I have never heard of before. The color is Fresh Basil, 15 yards. Very gorgeous grain. It's interesting because it says off the skein, so you use it straight as it is off the skein for 13 count. And ply for 18 count. So you use the whole, it is stranded, you use the whole thread for 13 count, and then you use a single ply for 18 count. So anyway, that's that. I'm assuming that this is a needlepoint thread typically, because 13 count is so not a count that we typically run into. I'm assuming. Anyway, very pretty. Lovely color. And then we have here a couple of finishing fabrics. So Nice little piece of, let me see, are they the same on both sides? Yeah. White, a little bit of shimmer to it. Red with white polka dots. Red with little white Christmas trees. These are little pieces. I'm assuming that their concoction pattern thing will explain that. And then a large piece of perforated paper, which makes me dizzy, to be honest, looking through. Oh, really does make me dizzy. It's just regular brown perforated paper. And then the last thing is red, very red. Love this, actually. This is 35 count linen Liberty from Weeks Dye Works. Very pretty. Very Christmas red. Gorgeous color. So, that is my last Stitchy box. I didn't show you so I showed you the first Stitchy box and then not the second one, and then this is my third and final. I am kind of sad that I'm missing the autumn Stitchy box, but I'm okay with it. It's just not where I want to spend my monthly, I guess, budget for subscription boxes, so I'm okay with not having that anymore. I highly suggest that if you are interested in these finishing fabrics and different kinds of threads and experiencing different companies that you've never heard of before, definitely you should try out the Stitchy box. I have the 32 to 40 count linens, or I had rather, linen subscription, but they have an Ada subscription and they have different sizes, and they work with some cool companies. So I definitely suggest that you try them out. It's just not for me. So that's my haul. That's it for the haul. Okay. Now let's get to my Summer's Last Hurrah WIPs for the week. Okay. Today I am working on my Frosty Knot Garden. This is my chatelaine, and I have it here on my 30-inch bars. And so what I'm going to work on are these, this corner in here. You can see up here where I had worked on the top. There's funky angles, whatever. But I have decided to come back and finish this part in completion before I move on. So maybe I'll work on that today. I don't know, to be totally honest, because this headache is starting to grow. Let's see. Next, I have my heron from Lizzie Kate. And so here's where I am. I'm almost done with page 1. And then I will move on probably to page 2 over here. So that's that one. And again, the designer there is Lizzie Kate. This is 28 count even weave. Okay, next I will be working on my elephants from Jane Netley Mayhew. Make sure I bookmark this right, yep. So there's my elephants. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And so you see here, the blue here, that's not stitched fabric. So that's why I wanted to do the blue and white. Very pretty. Okay, then next I have another new start. I have 3 new starts in a row here, I believe. Yeah, 3 new starts in a row. Very exciting. I have Nora Corbett's 9 Ladies Dancing. And this I am stitching on the suggested material. This is a 28 count, excuse me. So this is going to be a cashel China Pearl. Very boring, not interesting. Just a little piece of very neutral fabric, but that's okay. I really wanted to stick with the neutral on this one because the threads are so vibrant. There's pinks and purples and golds in there. So that's that. Next, I had planned on starting something different, but Letitia, the Crafty Curator, and Candy are starting Fibery Friends from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery on August the 7th. So I'm going to do the same. And I am starting with, or I'm starting this on my Color Cascades Studio Session 121. And this is, I believe, a 28 count even weave. Very pale pinks. I know it's an even weave. I'm pretty sure that it's a Jobelin. But, yeah, don't quote me on that. It might be Lugana. Anyway, very pretty. Pretty pink. So that's what I'll be starting on the 7th. And then on the 8th, I'll be working on my Not Quite White Work sampler. And this is from Northern Expressions Needleworks. This is a mystery stitch along that I haven't touched in a very long time, despite the fact that I love it. So I'll probably finish up that Bargello stitch to get it out of the way. Let's see, this is part 2, 3, 4. Part 5 came out on the 1st of August. I am so far behind. I'll get there eventually. So that's that. I am sad. I don't have Millennium bars big enough for that, because this fabric is 27 by 36 and I'm stitching it long ways. So that's that. And then last but not least, on Sunday, August 9th, I am working on my Summer Still Life, and this came out of a magazine, and the designer is Permin. And so, sorry, Danny just texted me. I got my iPad sitting here. Here's where I was the last time you saw this. So I'm going to probably work on that on the jug there. And this is for my Cross Stitch and Discuss Freezing into a Puddle challenge. And I need to have this done by September 22nd. So this will probably become a focus piece after this Summer's Last Hurrah. Quite a bit left to do. Not a ton, but a bit. So that's that. And so those are my coming up WIPs for the week. Let's see, for the August ABCs, on Sunday the 9th, I will be starting my next project for August ABCs, and for this one I'm going to be doing Fibre Friends from Frosted Pumpkin. So I'll be working on this for an hour-ish a day for about a week. So that's that. WIP review, haul, announcements. Yeah, that's about it. I was going to do a tag, but I think I'm going to cut this one off here because, as I said, headache. And I will save that for another video. I've seen a couple of people request that I do a parking video. I would really love to do that, guys, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't really have the equipment to record myself stitching, and as willing as I don't know that he would be, Danny would probably record, but it'd be shaky. So I am going to look into like a cheap camera and tripod, and maybe show you guys how I do my parking across country, as I call it. But that's really, it's really unofficial at this point. So, plus, Carolyn Mazzio has the premier parking technique video. Truly, watch her video. She's phenomenal. I've watched it, and it's really impressive. So check that out if you are looking for parking technique. I will link that in the down bar if you are interested in finding it. So that is that, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. Your continued support means everything. I will see you all later. Bye.